I used to think prison was just bars, guards, and bad food. I was wrong. Prison can be something far worse. The bus ride there was endless. The windows showed nothing but black trees, twisting like skeletal fingers. No moon, no stars, just forest pressing in. There were maybe 20 of us, all silent. Not because we didn't want to talk, but because something heavy sat in the air, pressing down on our chests, warning us not to. The driver never looked back. His face was hidden in the shadows, but his hands gripping the wheel were too long, too thin. The knuckles bulged. The fingers bent at angles that no human hand could bend. Hours passed, though my watch had stopped working the moment we left the city. When the bus finally stopped, it was in front of walls so tall they disappeared into the clouds. Black stone, carved with glowing red symbols that pulsed like veins under skin. The gates groaned open, and ash-scented air rushed out, burning my throat. They waited for us in neat rows. Guards. At least, that's what they looked like at first. Their uniforms were dark. But the closer they came, the more wrong their bodies seemed. Skin stretched too tight over their faces, as if it had been pulled and stapled down. Their jaws hung open slightly, revealing teeth too sharp, too many. Their eyes glowed faintly red, never blinking. One pointed at us. His finger was twice as long as it should have been, the nail jagged like bone. We followed without speaking. Inside, the walls weren't stone or steel. They pulsed. Veins ran through them like blood vessels, glowing faintly in the dim light. Every few steps, the walls shuddered, as if they were breathing. Chains dangled from the ceiling, swaying though there was no wind. Screams echoed faintly, distant, but near at the same time. Some sounded human, some didn't. The rules. We were herded into a chamber. In the center stood a chalkboard, smeared with something white that didn't look like chalk. Bone dust, maybe, on it, written in jagged letters, rules to survive one guard, slammed a clawed hand against the board. The room vibrated. Then a voice, not from the guard, but from the walls themselves, spoke the rules. Do not speak after the lights go out. The walls are listening. Never touch the bars of your cell. They are hungrier than you. If you hear footsteps behind you, don't turn around. Always count the prisoners during roll call. If the number is wrong, hide. The warden is not human. If he visits your cell, pretend to sleep. When the last rule was spoken, the chalkboard shuddered, as if it had a heartbeat. The guards shoved us into our cells. The lights flickered overhead. And then, hell prison became home. I tried not to breathe too loud. The air was thick with rust, sweat, and something sweet, like rotting fruit. The lights buzzed, then snapped off. Darkness swallowed the cell block. At first, silence. Then whispers. The walls themselves exhaled, murmuring words that sounded like my name. Daniel. Daniel, my blood froze. I remembered the first rule. Do not speak after the lights go out. Across the hall, someone whispered, "Shut up! Shut up!" The walls groaned. A wet tearing sound followed, and then a scream cut off too fast. When the lights flickered back, the cell across from me was empty. The man inside was gone. Only a smear of blood remained. I pressed my back to the wall and whispered to myself, too quiet for anyone to hear. Survive. Just follow the rules. The next morning, we were dragged into line. Guards stood watch, their eyes flicking over us. I counted us. 1, 2, 3. There had been 20 last night. Now there were 19. But when the guard finished his count, he nodded, satisfied. Which meant one thing. The missing prisoner wasn't counted as missing. He didn't exist anymore. The rules weren't just guidelines. They were law. Break them, and the prison erased you. By the third day, I wasn't alone. A man named Cole spoke to me when the guards weren't watching. His voice was raw, like he hadn't spoken in weeks. Don't believe this place is real, he said. It's a nightmare, a test. Keep the rules, maybe we wake up. His eyes flicked constantly, scanning shadows, walls, even the ceiling. He told me about a prisoner who once broke rule number 3. He turned when footsteps followed him. Cole swallowed hard. They didn't find a body. Not even blood. Just an empty uniform. That night I made a mistake. The cell was freezing. Without thinking, I leaned against the bars for warmth. They pulsed under my skin, warm, almost alive. Then they grabbed me. The bars rippled, opening like mouths. Tiny teeth shredded against my arm, biting, drinking. I yanked away, tearing flesh. Blood sprayed, dripping to the floor. The bars pulsed brighter, glowing red like veins filled with fresh blood. The pain was nothing compared to the horror of realization. The prison wasn't built of stone. The prison was feeding. Later that night, I dreamed of the bus ride again. But this time, when I looked at the driver, he turned his head, and it was me. I woke up screaming, clutching my bleeding arm as the walls whispered my name. Daniel. Daniel. And I realized the prison didn't just want my body. It wanted my soul. Time inside that prison didn't move normally. We never saw the sun. We never saw a clock. Meals came irregularly, sometimes twice a day, sometimes not at all. When they did, the food was gray slop that twitched in the bowl, as if it was alive. The walls moaned at night, and by day, the guards dragged prisoners down endless corridors. Some of them returned broken, eyes blank, skin pale like chalk. Others never returned at all. I marked the days by scratching the wall of my cell with a nail I'd pulled loose from the bed frame. After a week, the scratches began healing themselves, sealing up as if the prison didn't want me keeping track. Cole found me again in the yard, or what passed as a yard. A square of black gravel surrounded by pulsing walls. The sky above was a ceiling painted to look like sky, but sometimes the paint dripped, as if it were fresh blood instead of blue. He leaned close, whispering. "Do you feel it?" "What?" I asked. He tapped his temple. "It's not just keeping us here. It's feeding on us. Every fear, every scream, every broken rule, it grows stronger." I wanted to argue, but I remembered the bars biting into my arm. The way my blood had made the walls glow brighter. He was right. Rule number 4 is tested roll call. We lined up again, eyes forward, guards pacing like vultures. I counted 17. There had been 18 last night. My heart hammered. If the number's wrong, hide. That's what the rules said. But there was no place to hide. We stood in the open, every prisoner stiff with terror. The guard finished his count. His glowing eyes narrowed. A sound rose in the silence like grinding stone or bone snapping. Then, from behind us, a prisoner appeared. I swear to God, he hadn't been there a second before. His skin hung loose like it had been melted. His eyes were hollow, sockets empty, and yet he walked into line. The guards nodded. The count was correct. The prisoner next to me whispered, "That's Jacob. He died last night." I saw it. I didn't reply. Because the moment he spoke, the melted prisoner's head twisted full around, bones cracking, and his empty sockets locked on us. The whisperer screamed. And the guards dragged him away. Jacob stayed. The third rule that night, I couldn't sleep. The whispers from the walls were louder, giggling, calling my name. At some point, I heard footsteps, slow, heavy, just outside my cell. Rule number 3. Don't turn around if you hear footsteps behind you. But the cell was small. There was no behind me. The steps stopped. I felt breath on my neck, hot, rotten. My muscles screamed to turn, to look. But I forced myself still, digging my nails into my palms until they bled. The breath grew louder, closer. Something sniffed my ear. Then a voice rasped, "Good boy." The footsteps faded. I didn't move again until the lights flickered back on. Cole wasn't so lucky. The next day, he stumbled into the line with a deep scratch across his throat. His voice was gone, replaced by wheezing gasps. He couldn't speak anymore. He grabbed my arm, shaking, eyes begging me to understand. His lips formed words, but no sound came. I knew what he was trying to say. He'd turned around. The prison had taken his voice, but spared his life for now. It happened on the 10th night. The lights went out, and instead of silence, a deep bell rang. The walls quivered. Every prisoner froze. Then, footsteps. Not the usual dragging sounds of guards. No. These were heavy, deliberate, the warden. I shut my eyes, pretending to sleep. Remembering rule number 5. If he visits your cell, pretend to sleep. The air thickened, pressing on my chest. Something enormous stopped outside my bars. I couldn't see him, but I could feel him. His presence was crushing, like a mountain leaning down to watch an ant. Claws scraped metal. The bars groaned in hunger. Then a voice, not from his mouth, but inside my skull, boomed, "I smell doubt in you." My heart slammed against my ribs. I fought to keep my breathing steady, my body limp like I was asleep. Silence. Then, laughter. A deep, rumbling growl that shook my bones. He moved on. The next morning, Jacob was still there. The melted skin, the empty sockets standing among us as if alive. But when I blinked, for just a second, I didn't see Jacob. I saw me, standing there in the line, hollow-eyed, skin sagging, like a corpse that hadn't realized it was dead. And when I looked down at my own hands, they were starting to melt. After Jacob's reflection haunted me, I stopped trusting my own eyes. The prison knew me now. It whispered my name through the cracks in the wall, through the groans of the floor. Cole barely moved anymore. His throat wound had festered, black veins crawling across his skin. He sat in the corner of the cell, rocking slowly, mouthing words that would never reach sound. The other prisoners were disappearing. Some taken by guards, some by the warden, others just gone. Their bunks empty in the morning, as if they'd never been, and yet the roll call numbers always matched, always. The new rule on the 12th day, a parchment slid under my cell door. The handwriting was jagged, like claws carved it. It read, Rule Number 6. If you hear your own voice calling your name, do not answer. My stomach twisted. Because that very night, it happened, I heard myself. My voice, weak, trembling, calling from the hall. Help! Please, let me in. It sounded exactly like me. Same tone, same panic. Cole stirred, looking at me wide-eyed as if to say, That's you out there. I clenched my teeth. Stayed silent. The voice outside grew angrier, louder. Let me in! I'm you! I'm dying out here! I covered my ears. Prayed. When the lights returned, Cole was staring at me with something worse than fear. Suspicion. The infection in his neck spread fast. His skin peeled, his jaw stiffened, but his eyes never lost their fire. One night, he grabbed my wrist with unnatural strength, his grip icy. His lips trembled, mouthing, Kill me. I shook my head, tears burning my eyes. But then he scratched something into the floor with a shard of metal. They can use me. Before I could react, the guards dragged him away. His eyes begged me for mercy as they disappeared into the endless halls. I never saw him again. But the next roll call? He was back, standing in line, whole, smiling, and when he turned his head toward me, his smile stretched too wide, I couldn't stay. The prison was already eating me alive. My reflection in the metal bars no longer matched my face. My eyes were darker, hollow. I whispered to another prisoner, a woman named Lacey, gaunt but sharp-eyed. She whispered back of a rumor, a gate, a way out. Past the lower levels, through a tunnel that stank of burning flesh. Few tried. None returned, but I had no choice. We plotted. Waited for lights out. The guards' patrols grew predictable, circling every 7 minutes. If we timed it right, we could slip through. That night, the two of us crept into the black tunnels. The walls pulsed, veins glowing faintly red like embers under skin. The deeper we went, the louder the whispers became. Not random voices anymore, specific, my mother, my father, old friends, all begging me to turn back. Lacey gripped my hand so tightly it hurt. Ignore it, she hissed, but the prison knew what to say. It called me by my dead brother's voice. And for a moment, I faltered. Finally, we reached it. A vast iron gate, taller than any cathedral, forged from blackened bone. It dripped with blood that steamed on the floor. Beyond it, light, real light, sunshine, trees swaying in the wind. A world untouched by this hell. Lacey sobbed, clawing at the bars. We can make it, then. The warden arrived. He was larger than the gate itself. His body a shifting mass of chains, claws, and fire. His face, when it appeared, was every prisoner I'd ever seen, fused into a single screaming maw. His voice thundered, Do you think you leave without paying the debt? You are not prisoners. You are fuel, Lacey screamed, rushing the bars. She tried to squeeze through the gaps, her body stretching unnaturally, thin skin tearing, bones cracking until she was pulled inside out. Vanishing in a spray of blood, the gate remained, untouched, the final rule. The warden loomed over me, chains rattling, fire dripping from his claws, and then another parchment appeared at my feet. The final rule. Rule number 7. You can leave any time. But someone must take your place. My heart froze. I looked back down the hall, where shadows writhed like waiting prisoners. The warden bent low, his voice in my skull. Choose. Or stay. I don't remember making the choice. All I know is I woke up in my bed. The sun was shining through the blinds. The world was normal again. I laughed. I cried. I thought I was free. But when I went to the bathroom and looked in the mirror, I saw Cole, smiling, and then my reflection whispered in my own voice, "Your turn."